If you've ever stepped on the scales and felt frustrated or disheartened because they've gone up by £2, even though you've been 100% consistent and they've left you feeling like, what is the point? Then keep listening. This video is for you. Because today I'm going to help you understand exactly why your weight fluctuates. And trust me, it's not always body fat. I'll talk about the main reasons why the number on the scale constantly jumps around due to hormones, sleep, digestion, recovery, dehydration, meals out, sodium, and most importantly, how completely normal these day-to-day fluctuations are. Once you understand what's really going on and why the scales keep fluctuating, you'll stop panicking every time they stay the same or every time they go up. And you can start seeing your progress for what it actually is. Because we've all been there, haven't we? Started the program, been 100% with our calories, smashed our workout, smashed our step goal, drank all of our water, got to bed on time, felt motivated, accomplished, proud to step on the scales and see that it's gone up by £2. Suddenly, all of your motivation disappears and you start to question everything. Am I eating too much? Am I not training hard enough? Am I just not meant to lose weight? And before you know it, you're frustrated, you're doubting yourself, and you've slipped back into old habits, self-sabotage, and now you feel like you're back at square one. And you know what the funny thing is? Most of the time, these fluctuations are not fat gain. So before we go any further, let's talk about what the scales are actually showing you when you step on them. Now, a lot of people seem to think that when they step on the scales is just showing them how much body fat they've got, and that is just not true. The scale is measuring your total body weight, and you are made up of 70% water, muscle tissue, organs, bones, blood, fat, food that's still sitting in your system, and even waste that your body hasn't processed yet. So when that number on the scales goes up or down from one day to the next, it's showing you a mix of all of those things, not a direct reflection of how much fat you've gained or lost. So one of the best things that you can do when it comes to improving your relationship with the scale is learn how to apply logic rather than emotion. And how you can do this is by understanding what I'm about to tell you. So there's 3,500 calories in £1 of fat. For you to gain £1 of body fat, you will have to consume 3,500 calories on top of your maintenance calories. So let's say someone's maintenance calories are 2,000. You'd have to eat them and then eat 3,500 calories on top of that to gain £1 of fat. So this is where you can start applying logic when you're stepping on the scales. So let's say, for example, you have been 100% consistent with your calories, with your training, with your steps, and then you step on the scales and you see that they've gone up £1 overnight. You can ask yourself, did I eat 3,500 calories on top of my maintenance calories yesterday? If the answer is no, then you can just log that number in your phone and carry on as normal, because that is a fluctuation in water weight. That is not fat gain. So let's break down some of the main reasons why your weight goes up and down Let's start with the main one, and this will be hormones. And it all comes down to your menstrual cycle. So you'll see at the latter end of your cycle, when you're in your late luteal phase, anything from day 25 onwards, that the scale will start to increase, and this will be a fluctuation in water weight due to your hormones, estrogen and progesterone, changing. The scale going up and up and up is not you gaining body fat each day. If you're in a calorie deficit, it is impossible for you to gain body fat. And if you are not eating 3,500 calories on top of your maintenance calories, then this is just a fluctuation in water weight and it's out of your control. There's nothing that you can do to stop the scale from going up, especially in your late luteal phase. You'll also notice that the scales will creep up around ovulation, or if you're in perimenopause or menopause, then you'll notice even more fluctuations then. But next up is your digestion. Like if you haven't been to the toilet in the morning for a number 2, then obviously you've still got food sitting in your stomach that's causing you to be heavier. So again, you could weigh heavier on the scales that morning purely because you've got undigested, unprocessed food still sitting in your stomach causing you to be a little bit heavier. Or if you've eaten something that necessarily hasn't agreed with you and you've got digestive discomfort, again, that could cause a little bit of inflammation, a little bit of water retention. So this again is why you are showing a little bit heavier on the scales that particular morning. Sleep. If you're someone that has poor quality sleep or if you just haven't had a great night's sleep, you'll notice the next day when you get on the scales that they will likely be up. And this is because poor sleep increases cortisol, and increased cortisol levels leads to water retention. Next up is recovery, and this is one that a lot of people forget about. So when people start their health and fitness journey, they likely start going back into exercise as well. And what happens when you start exercising, because the body's not used to the stimulus or the training that you are doing, you'll feel sore from these workouts. This is called DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, like when you are sore for like a couple of days after training. And what's happening is you've got microscopic tears in the muscles that is now causing like a little bit of inflammation and leading to a little bit more water retention, just so the body can help this muscle recover. So if you're feeling sore from your workout, this could be why that you are a little bit heavier on the scales, because your muscles are holding onto water to repair the tissue. Another reason is dehydration. If you're not drinking enough water, your body can actually retain water. So always make sure you are consistent with how much water you drink each and every single day. Like, don't drink a little one day and then try and make up for it the next day with drinking loads. Try and be consistent with drinking like 2.5 litres of water a day. Another reason is going out for food. Usually when you go out for food, you'll have more calories than usual, more carbohydrates than usual, and likely more sodium as well. All of these things will lead to an increase in scale weight. Now, if you have more carbohydrates than usual, you'll be heavier on the scales, not because carbs are bad and carbs make you gain fat. It's because for every 1 gram of carbohydrates that you consume, you're now retaining 3 to 4 grams of water with that 1 gram of carbohydrates. So if you consume 100 grams of carbohydrates, let's say, you'll now be 300 to 400 grams heavier on the scales from that 100 gram of carbohydrates that you've consumed. And when we have more carbohydrates, they get stored in the muscles as glycogen. And that additional glycogen or that additional sodium that you might have had from the meal out just simply means more temporary water storage. Stress is a big one that so many people forget about. But if you're stressed, if you're anxious, if you're worried, this leads to elevated levels of cortisol, again, which leads to you retaining more water. And then stress directly impacts your digestion. So if you're stressed, cortisol levels are up, digestion's impaired, then obviously you're going to be heavier on the scales the next day. Alcohol is another one. If you've consumed alcohol, alcohol can dehydrate you, it can lead to inflammation, and both of these things can lead to shifts in water weight. And the time you weigh yourself can directly impact what you weigh as well. Like if you weigh in first thing in the morning versus last thing at night, of course last thing at night you're going to weigh heavier after you've eaten all day and drank all day, potentially worked out. Of course you're going to weigh heavier. It all makes a big difference. And when it comes to weighing yourself, if you are going to weigh yourself, you need to make sure that you do it properly. And the most accurate way to weigh yourself is weigh yourself every single day. Weigh yourself first thing in the morning, before you've eaten or drank anything, after you've been in the toilet, wearing minimal clothing, and making sure that the scales are in the exact same place every single day, because if you move the scales around to different places, the floor might be uneven and it might not give you an accurate reading. So you want to follow that process every single day. And if you're someone that does have a negative relationship with the scales and it can negatively impact your mood for the rest of the day, then I'm hoping after watching this video that you feel a bit more desensitized to the scales and understand that fluctuations are completely normal and you can actually weigh yourself this way. And the reason why I recommend that you weigh yourself every single day is because it gives you more data. Like for example, if you weigh yourself on a Monday and then on a Monday, you're only getting 2 pieces of data. And what can actually happen is you can lose weight all week, and then on Saturday, let's say for example, you go out for food and your weight spikes, so that when you weigh in on Monday, you're up by 2 pounds and you're like, how am I up by 2 pounds? But in reality, if you would have weighed every single day, you would have seen that your weight has actually come down and you've lost 2 pounds this week, not gained 2 pounds. But because you've only weighed in on a Monday, you didn't see all the losses that you've had during the week. So by weighing every single day, it allows you to see what your weight's doing on a day-to-day basis. And this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see what your weight's doing over time. So if you tracked your weight on a graph, you'd see that your weight, it wouldn't come down like this. It wouldn't come down every single day. Fat loss isn't linear. If you logged it on a graph, it'd look a little something like this. It'd come down, it'd go up, it'd go down, it'd stay the same. It'd go up, down, stay the same, up, down, stay the same. And your graph would look like this. You can even go and Google it if you don't believe me, or I'll pop a picture here so that you can see how completely normal it is for your weight to fluctuate each and every single day. There is not one person on this planet who starts a weight loss journey, goes into a calorie deficit and loses weight every single day. It's not possible for that to happen, because you would literally die if you just kept losing weight every single day. Like, fluctuations are going to happen from all of the reasons that I have just listed, and these fluctuations are completely out of your control. That number on the scales is completely out of your control. The only thing that is in your control is your daily habits, your daily behaviours, and ultimately your routines that are going to move the needle from where you're at now to closer to your goal. And that's all that you can worry about. And as a byproduct of you doing them daily habits and doing them daily actions, it will move the needle. So if you are weighing yourself daily, another thing that you can do is you can take a weekly average. All you need to do is add up your weights each and every single day for the 7 days, and then divide this by 7, and this will give you your weekly average weight. And you can do the same the week after and the week after that, and then you can compare your weekly average weight. And as long as they're coming down, you're in a calorie deficit and this is working. Now, if you're someone who is doing all the right things, you're smashing it with your nutrition, your workout, your steps, your water, your sleep, and you're tracking your weight every single day, but the scales just aren't coming down, they're either going up or staying around the same weight, then what I'd recommend you do is stay consistent with the same amount of calories, same number of steps, same number of workouts for the next 2 weeks. And if your weight does stay the same, around about the same, and you haven't lost, let's say, anything from £0.5 pound to £2 per week, so if by the end of week 2 you're not down like anything from £1 to maybe £2-3, then you are probably eating at maintenance or a slight surplus. And all you need to do is reduce your calorie intake slightly to put you further into a deficit, or you can increase your output a little bit more, again, to create a larger deficit. And then that way, then you should start to see the scales come down. And this is, again, why you've got to apply logic over emotion on this journey, because there will come times on your journey where your weight does plateau, and rather than getting disheartened, feeling frustrated, feeling like nothing's working, and then just having a fuck it moment and self-sabotaging and just going way off track, getting a takeaway, eating the biscuits, the chocolate and the crisps, and then because you're thinking, what's the point, not working anyway, I might as well just do whatever I want. I'm doing all this hard work but it's not working. There's literally every point to continue, because that self-sabotage is not going to get you anywhere. It's only going to take you further away from your goals, and it's going to leave you feeling even worse than you did when you stepped on the scales this morning. And it's all about just subtle tweaks. It's all about fine-tuning it. So if your weight is staying the same, you're not doing anything wrong. It just means that you're just not in a big enough calorie deficit. And the only way you'll find out if you are is by tracking your weight across 2 weeks. A week isn't sort of long enough to find out, because if you've only just started your journey, then it might be a bit of a settling in phase. You might be eating more food volume because you're eating a more whole foods diet now. You might be sore from your new workout. So your weight might just be settling. So I always like to say, give it 2 weeks before you make any changes. So if your weight's staying the same after 2 weeks, then just decrease your food slightly or increase your output slightly again to create that large deficit, and track again. If after 2 weeks then it's still not staying the same, again, repeat that process. But usually by making a few changes, it does take you into a deficit, and you will start seeing your weight coming down on a downward trend. You won't see it coming down every single day, but from week to week you will see that you are lighter than what you was the week before. That's the kind of trend that you're looking for. And one thing that I want you to know is that the scales is just one measure of progress. They don't tell the full story. And that's why I get all of my clients to celebrate NSVs, which is short for non-scale victories. And these are things like your clothes fitting better, measurements coming down, improved energy, improved sleep, improved digestion, feeling better, less bloating, feeling more confident in yourself. And for me, these are real signs that your body's changing, even when the number on the scales isn't. And this can happen, by the way. Your body can change, and this is called body recomposition. If you're new to weight training and you've never weight trained before, or you've come back into it and you're hitting your protein goal, then what can happen is you can retain the current muscle mass that you have, but also grow new muscle tissue and drop body fat. So you're getting leaner, smaller, more toned, more defined, and your pictures are changing, your measurements are coming down slightly, but the scales aren't moving that much. That's something that can happen as well. So this is why it's so important to take your pictures, take your measurements, maybe even put like a pair of jeans on that are like tight, take a bit, or you can just can't fasten them and take a picture in them, and then every single Sunday, every single Monday when you do like your sort of check-in to review your week, get in your jeans again, and how are them jeans fitting? Are they a little bit less snug? Can you fasten them? Take a picture in them, and then that'll be a real sort of sign, like a visual sign that you can really see, wow, okay, like things are happening here, even when the scales aren't showing it. And this can happen sometimes. Like if you're doing all of the right things, you know you're in a calorie deficit, you know you're doing everything right, you know you're sticking to things, you know you're not going wild at the weekends, then it's just a case of being patient and persevering. I know that you are losing body fat, but the scales just aren't showing it yet. And that's the most important thing. And a lot of people give up at that point, the point where they're feeling like they're doing all the hard work but they're not getting anywhere, they're feeling disheartened, they're feeling frustrated, and they're feeling what's the point. And so many people give up, and they just need to keep going, they just need to keep pushing that little bit more. And on the other side of that is all these results that they've wanted. And this is why having a coach massively helps, for that reassurance, for that accountability, that education, and for someone to zoom out and be like, right, okay, let's look at everything. Because I feel like when it's just you and you're focusing on yourself and the scales, we're our own worst critics, and sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees. And that's why it takes a really good, like well-educated coach to zoom out and be like, right, okay, this is what's happening. Like either you just need to trust the process and keep going, or do you know what? We're not really in a deficit here. I'm going to make some changes to your program to keep moving forward. So if you are ever feeling doubtful, or if you are ever feeling like you are someone that's constantly second guessing yourself, or just needs that bit of extra hand holding or bit of reassurance, my coaching's open. I'm taking on new clients. So just drop me a DM on Instagram saying results, and we can have a little chat about a plan that'll work for you. So the next time you step on the scales and the number's gone up, do not panic. I want you to zoom out, look at your consistency, look at what your weight's been doing day to day over the last 2 weeks, look at your habits, your energy, and all of the other wins that actually matter too, such as your measurements, your pictures, how your clothes are fitting, how you're looking in the mirror naked, how confident you feel, because that number on the scales doesn't define your worth, it doesn't define your progress, it doesn't define your efforts, or how hard you're working. So I hope this video has improved your relationship with the scales and shifted your mindset towards them. And if it did, please give it a like, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And if you like this content, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.